Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Supervisor Brandow.
Here.
Supervisor Magsic.
Here.
Supervisor Mendez.
Here.
Supervisor Pacheco.
Here.
Chairman Quintero.
Here.
All present. Thank you.
Good morning and welcome to the Tuesday, April 25th, 2023 meeting of the Fresno County Board of Supervisors. We will begin today's meeting with the invocation and flag salute. The invocation will be led by Supervisor Nathan Magzig, and I'll turn it over to him to do some introductions as well.
Very good. And today we are blessed to have our Fresno County Color Guard here with us from the Sheriff's Department. And so what I would ask for all of us to do is, I'm going to lead us in the invocation as well. So we'll all rise together and then remain standing. After I am done with the prayer, the Color Guard will come forward, and then I will lead you in the Pledge of Allegiance. So please stand. Heavenly Father, thank you again for another beautiful day, a day where we have many blossoms out there and bees working out in the fields and much produce that's going to be generated in farmers' fields. I pray right now for a blessing on the crops, a blessing on the people, and as the snow in the mountains melts, I pray that you continue to allow that to happen slowly. I thank you today. I pray for a blessing upon my colleagues here on the Board of Supervisors. I pray for safety for all who are involved in law enforcement, for those who are involved in corrections, and of course, those who keep us safe here in Fresno County. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Order. On. You may be seated.
Agendas are located on the table at the back of the chamber for anyone wishing to follow along. Item 1, Madam Clerk.
Item number 1, approve agenda.
Any comments from board members at this time regarding the agenda? Okay. Seeing none, I will entertain a motion and a second to approve the agenda. Second. Okay. Motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Item 2.
We now move to item number 2, approve consent agenda item number 16 through 44. Mr. Chairman, members of the board, staff department would like to pull item 21, and I believe there's members in the audience who wish to pull item 24 and 25.
Could you repeat about 24 and 25? I'm sorry.
I believe there's members of the public who wish to pull item 24 and 25.
Okay. Thank you. Okay, these matters are routine in nature and usually approved by a single vote. Are there any members of the board who would like an item removed from consent for discussion? Okay, seeing none. Any members of the public who would like an item removed? Okay, seeing none, I'll entertain a motion and a second to approve the remainder of the consent agenda.
Second.
Motion and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes.
Mr. Chairman, we'll take up item 21 first from your consent.
Item 21, we'll turn this over to our County Administrative Officer, Mr. Nerdlin. You'll present 21.
Good morning, Chairman, members of the board. Thank you very much. As you know, was in the midst of this flood mitigation emergency, many of us who are involved in that receive questions. They look at the beautiful weather and the storms are over and they say, why are you still active with an emergency? Not understanding just the amount of snowpack and water that we're dealing with. Our sheriff's office is keeping our rivers closed to keep people safe, and so our public information team with Sonia Dosti and Joshua Dean have put together a video featuring our one and only Supervisor Mendez that speaks as part of this video to speak to what we're dealing with. And we wanted to preview this video with you today before releasing this publicly to schools and to the media. And I didn't know Supervisor Mendez wanted to comment before we showed you this video.
No, I'll comment after.
Okay. With that, with your permission, we'll show you this video.
This is a wreck in slow motion. I don't know any other way to put it.
The water systems of Fresno County are large and complex, and to help us understand how it works, we spent the day touring the Kings River with Fresno County Supervisor and local water expert, Buddy Mendez.
This water starts at Pine Flat, but above Pine Flat, we have the high Sierras.
Most of the water that will travel through the county begins as snow in the Sierra Nevada mountains. As temperatures rise, snow melts and flows down the mountain into our two main reservoirs, Millerton Lake and Pine Flat Reservoir. In a normal year, water is slowly released from these reservoirs into a variety of rivers and canals, primarily for irrigation. In the north portion of the county, water is released from Millerton Lake into the San Joaquin River and Frank Kern Canal. The Frank Kern Canal runs south into Kern County, while the San Joaquin River runs west past Fresno out to the Mendota Pool. In the southern region of the county, Pine Flat Dam releases water into the Kings River, which moves through lower elevations where it splits into north and south forks. The north fork of the Kings then flows west through the James Bypass and eventually into the Mendota Pool, where it meets the waters from the San Joaquin River. From there, the combined flows pass Fireball, eventually making their way to the Pacific Ocean.
So it's basically first irrigation. And then secondly, the system has to be robust enough to take flood water. You know, and this might be one of those years that we could break the greatest amount of runoff in a season.
To understand the current situation, we need to understand two ways in which we measure water. When measuring water storage, we use acre feet. 1 acre-foot of water is approximately 326,000 gallons, or the amount of water it would take to cover 1 acre, which is roughly the size of a football field, under a foot of water. At maximum capacity, Pine Flat can hold 1 million acre-feet, while Millerton can store just over 520,000. The second measurement we use is cubic feet per second. This allows us to gauge how much water flows through our rivers and canals. 1 cubic foot per second is roughly 7.48 gallons, flowing every second. As of April 12th, the snowpack of the Southern Sierra is over 300% of the average for this time of year. Through September 30th, we'll see nearly 8 million acre-feet of additional water flow into our local reservoirs. That's 5 times what the reservoirs are designed to hold. Putting that amount of water onto the field at Fresno State would create a tower roughly 1,500 miles tall. To be able to store this water, those managing our 2 storage facilities need to make room, and they need to do it now. With a current forecast, they'll need to empty and fill Pine Flat an estimated 3 to 4 times, while Millerton must be filled 5 to 7. To do that, they may need to release the maximum amount of water our system can hold. For the Bryant Dam, that could mean releasing water at a rate that can fill an Olympic-sized swimming pool every 9 seconds. This constant flow will stress many of our waterways and possibly cause flooding within the county.
I think we have the greatest team we've ever assembled. I'm confident that we have some of the best people that have ever worked in EOS are working for Fresno County right now.
Fresno County Emergency Services, first responders, and water partners are preparing for the inevitable. We continue to meet regularly to anticipate and prepare for issues within the system. In case our waterways fail, we have staged sandbags, super sacks, and equipment strategically throughout the county. As we continue to monitor the status of our waterways, we ask you to be prepared. If you are in an area prone to flooding, be ready to evacuate by having personal items and medications packed. Stay clear of rivers and streams, which have been closed by the Fresno County Sheriff's Office in order to keep you safe. These flow at high rates and the water can be extremely cold and look deceptively tame. Lastly, stay informed by signing up for alerts and getting updated information at FresnoCountyEmergency.com.
Thank you for the opportunity to display that. Questions or comments?
Yeah, well, I just want to say that, I think if our team attacks this as every problem as an engineering problem, and I told Paul this is kind of like the movie The Martian, where this guy was a life and death struggle. He had a problem, he had to engineer his way out of it, so he lived. Then there was another problem, you had to do the same thing. This is, as long as we're proactive, we see a problem, we engineer our way out of a problem, we'll succeed. Because if we're reactive and we just react to problems, we're doomed to failure. So I think, like I said in the movie, we have by far the best team that we've ever had. I was around the team back in '06. I've been very familiar with, how this works, and we've never had a team this great put together. So I'm not going to call it the dream team. That was kind of a bad movie, but but it's I've got a lot of confidence. We've got a lot of snow that's going to melt, but one of the hidden deals is 2 things. It's ice now and not snow. So it'll take a lot of heat to really get a big melt going. And we don't know, we're coming off of a previous dry year, so we do not know what the Sierras will keep, because they always keep part of the runoff in the mountains. So that's kind of an unknown. Nobody really has a finger on that. They've never been able to guess correctly from one year to the next. So even though we have a huge snowpack, the Sierras might decide that they want to keep some of it. That's just a natural thing that happens. So, thank you.
Supervisor Magzik, comments?
Well, thank you, buddy, for being the lead on that. And I want to thank our PIO and her team. Josh, your voice is perfect for that video, so we need to see many more with that soothing voice, hearing that soothing voice. But echo everything that Buddy has to say. He is the expert, and with the burn scar area from the creek fire, the fact that we don't have as many trees to be able to kind of suck up a lot of that water, there's a lot of unknown factors out there, and we're still trying to dig our way out in eastern Fresno County, a lot of roadways, infrastructure that's still buried. So in addition to the water challenges we're going to have, there's a lot of roadways, bridges, culverts that are going to need to be prepared. So the Public Works Department's going to be very active as well, but I appreciate everybody working together.
No other comments from my fellow supervisors, but wanted to, Supervisor Mendez, I think you're right. I mean, you got a great team that really know how to work on finding the right solutions that are needed, and I think we're in good hands with the team that we have, and it's unprecedented time for us, but I know we'll make it through. Is there any comments from the public? Mr. Nerlin?
No, just if I could just, one last comment would be to echo what Supervisor Mendez said. We have a fantastic team, but I'm especially proud of our communications team and just the effort on this video. So this will be released soon as a media packet to schools, to other entities to show, to illustrate just what we're dealing with in Fresno County. So thank you for the opportunity to show that this morning.
Sonia, will this also be aired at any time that you can think of through PBS? I think that's an important outlet for us to work with.
Good morning. We are actually going to talk to PBS to see if they can schedule an airing of it. We're going to be sharing it with all of our media partners, all of our law enforcement, as many organizations who are willing to help us get the message out there. And we are also going to have all of this translated in Spanish. So we hope to have those done in the next couple of days, and we're going to ask our partner Invocation if they could also share the Spanish language versions of the video. We have this longer version, but we're also going to have several shorter versions, 30-second version PSAs.
I think it'd also be a good idea maybe to do like some quick screenings in the evenings in the libraries that throughout Fresno County where, you know, families that have the time or are interested in it can come and look at it, especially the areas that were impacted with the water that came down.
Okay. I will talk to our library folks about that.
Thank you. Okay. With that, I'll entertain a motion and a second to approve. Supervisor Mendez? We have a motion. Is there a second? We have a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes.
We now move to item number 24, pulled by a member of the public. Approve and authorize the chairman to execute subrecipient agreement for American Rescue Plan Act state local fiscal recovery funds with court-appointed special advocates of Fresno and Madera counties in the amount of $250,000.
Thank you, Chairman Sal Quintero and members of the board and communications office as well. Thank you. You're talking about floods, water, fire, but I've been here to enough meetings. The forefront has always been you do this because you care about children and their families. So I'm here to represent the foster youth that I know you invested a lot of time into the foster care here in Fresno County. I've been in education for 28 years. Of those 28 years, I've served on CASA, now going on 15 years, 10 as a board member and 5 as their executive director. It's been the hardest thing I've ever done, but most rewarding. And why it's most rewarding is because I see day in and day out the children that may age out of the system, and I recognize our community volunteers who invest so much time and emotions into making a difference. Most recently, board member Chair Sal Quintero was at our Voices of Hope on Thursday and heard from a former foster youth named Jamie. And she said very passionately, she came into the system at 9 years of age, broken. She was told time and time again that she would not amount to anything, that she ended up pregnant, poor, a dropout. Then her CASA, Allison, for the past 9 years, says, oh, no, you're not. We're going to make a difference, and kept assuring her, her life is going to be hard. You had a rough start. But Allison was with her and her siblings every step of the way. It was an emotional night, and that was just one story told. And I have 341 stories to tell you every single year. On that night, Jamie shared that she is now 21 years of age. She stars in our Channel 30 Reels Heroes of Hope. She is our biggest advocate for CASA because she lived through the system. She knows what she could have ended up as. Instead, she's going to college. She's double majoring. And all this time, she's going to end up on a billboard in a few months with a quote that says, your beginning does not define your future. And with the infusion of the ARPA funds this past year, it has been a major boost to CASA. Not only is the members of the community knows what CASA stands for and what we do, we're able to then turn around and recruit more community volunteers to then serve more foster youth. In addition, yes, we're trying to get to baseline post-COVID. And, people are talking about, well, we're now out of the floods. Yes, but there's the impact of it, right? Of the rains. We're kind of out of it, of COVID, but we had the impact of COVID. And with that, it's the hiring of staff, retention of staff, and we had budgeted just a small amount of the ARPA funds, $2,000 for care. We call it Journey of Care for our staff. They could not be happier. They appreciate the picnics, the food that we bring in, and just that will help with retention and the turnover there, and then also to be able to support our advocates as well. But I just want to take this time. I didn't want it just to be a consent item and, moving on. I wanted to just come up here and just say thank you for doing the hard work that you have to do. I know there's a lot of initiatives that come your way, but thank you for supporting CASA and the foster youth we serve, one child at a time, but we're serving a lot of kids, one child at a time. So thank you. Thank you for the ARPA funds.
Stay there. Any comments from the board?
Yeah, well,
Supervisor Brandow.
Wilma, thank you for coming up and pulling that item and saying thank you. It reminds me, my pastor preached a sermon a couple weeks ago about a case in the Bible where Jesus healed 10 lepers, but only one of them turned around to thank him. And so thank you for pulling the item and saying thank you. We love the work that CASA does.
Thank you.
The little story that you just told today is so meaningful, as to the work that you do and provide for our community. So thank you for pulling that item.
Thank you.
And I attended the event the other evening, the Voices of Hope, and I have to tell you that all the love and passion that not only the staff has, but also the families and past families. It's amazing to hear how so many of the children that have become adults stay in touch with a foster parent throughout the years. And that was really evident there in the passion that you saw. So I want to applaud you for that, woman, because it says a lot about what CASA does and the passion that the staff has and the foster parents. It was just a great evening. Hope and I really meant a lot to us to attend that. Is there any comments from the public? Okay. Seeing none, I'll entertain a motion in a second.
Motion to second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes.
Thank you so much, everyone.
We now move to item 25. Approve and authorize the chairman to execute subrecipient agreement for ARPA with Layton Community Services District to fund the replacement of dated water meters, boxes, and lids in the unincorporated community of Layton, total not to exceed $1,032,000.
You must be Carol Hall. We have it.
I almost feel guilty about asking for this to be approved after hearing this lady.
Carol, put the mic down so.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
I almost feel guilty about presenting our need after listening to this lady. Thank you for your support. On behalf of Layton Community Services District, I'm here to appreciate the opportunity to express and the appreciation for your consideration for approving the water metered project. New water meters has been needed for many years in our district, but due to capital restraints, we have been unable to ever initiate this project. Not only will the new water provide, I'm nervous, I'm not used to speaking in public, sorry. Not only will the new water meters provide immediate usage info for billing purposes, but also will provide data that may be needed for present and future reports that may be required by the state or other agencies. Also, obviously, this, by having immediate data and our employees not having to go out and actually manually read their meters, which are over 40 years old, and then input that data into our system, this will be very cost-effective for us in the future. Once again, I want to thank you for your consideration of improving this project for our community. Thank you.
Thank you, Carol. Any comments from the board?
Yeah, Carol, you're quite welcome. You know, hopefully my colleagues will pass this, but me and Supervisor Pacheco, we represent a lot of unincorporated communities. And the CSDs in those communities got no help, and we're not going to get any help at all unless we help them. So we're very committed to that, and this is just an example of our commitment to the CSDs and unincorporated communities.
Any other comments from board members? Okay. Any comments from the public? Okay,
Motion to approve?
we have a motion. We have a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes.
Mr. Chairman, that concludes all our consent items. We return to your regular agenda. Item 3, under the Board of Supervisors, presentation of retirement plaque to Marty Cruz Andrade, Probation Department, 26 years of service.
Okay, Mr. Haynes.
Good morning, Chairman Quintero. Monty Cruz, come on up. Thank you this morning. I'm Kirk Haynes. I'm your Chief Probation Officer, and appreciate the opportunity this morning to be able to recognize the service of Monty Cruz Andrade, Deputy Probation Officer for Fresno County, for 26 years. And so I'm going to ask Deputy Chief David Reese to go ahead and talk a little bit about Monty Cruz and her career with the Probation Department, and then I'll come back.
Good morning, Board. David Reese, Deputy Chief Probation Officer. Normally, we would have her immediate supervisor, Gilbert Sanchez, do this presentation, but he retired the same week. So very fortunate. I think they planned it together. But how do you encapsulate 26 years of excellent service? I'll try to do my best. Mary Cruz started her career with our department in December of 1996 at our juvenile hall, where she served our youth for almost 10 years. Doing an exceptional job there. She promoted to Deputy Probation Officer in August of 2007. During that time, she worked various assignments for our department, including domestic violence, supervision, adult offender work program. She then returned back to her juvenile roots and helped, as you heard earlier, a most vulnerable population, juvenile placement youth, the youth that are in foster care that end up in probation supervision. She then took on another difficult assignment of special supervision of our youth, and went to it. Then also served at our campus unit, and I had the privilege at that time of supervising Officer Andrade directly. And one thing that I could say about Officer Andrade is that she's always been able to build healthy. I've always been impressed how she could build healthy relationships with the youth and the adults that she supervised to help them rehabilitate, but at the same time holding them accountable. But she did it with professionalism and a great attitude. And most recently, she kind of returned back to her first assignment, which is the domestic violence in our AB 109 realignment division. And then she retired from our department in March, on March 17th of 2023. So just really blessed and thankful to have Mara Cruz part of our team. Thank you.
Thank you. So that's just a small part of explanation of Monty Cruz and her work history and her work ethic. One of the things that I did want to highlight this morning is that Monty Cruz really brought in, and David talked a lot about her care and concern, and a mixture and a balance of accountability and caring for especially for the young people. In one of her last assignments, she worked as a campus officer at Sunnyside High School, and talking about the passion that she had for the work there, and not just for the work, but for the young people that she touched, the lives that she touched, and working with the staff there. So it goes without saying for me to just say thank you, Monty Cruz, for a career well-served, and we're looking forward to hearing from you. Thank you.
Thank you. So yeah, 26 years that I gave to the department. I had its ups and downs. Working, like I said, at the old juvenile hall that we called, that was a great assignment despite all the stuff that was going on. As far as when we were understaffed, overpopulated, it was still a great assignment because we were all family there. In the probation side, like you mentioned, working as a campus officer at Sunnyside High School was the best assignment ever, and it was almost like my calling because not only did I work with the probation kids, but just your regular students, and I was able to be a mentor to them, and it was a family there as well with the school administration and the students and, you know, in general. So when I got moved, when I was told I was getting moved to the adult side, it broke my heart. I was devastated. I was in tears. And after that move, it wasn't the same working for probation anymore. And that's why I made the decision to retire early. And fortunately, I was able to obtain a new job working at a school as a campus security. So I'm going back to my calling. And so thank you.
Do you have any of your family members present that you'd like to introduce?
My husband, Jesse Andrade, he also works for the probation department. He's a juvenile correctional officer, has been there 23 years.
So it's not the end yet.
So no, it's not
Andrade's.
the end. Yes.
Any comments from the board?
Yeah, you look way too young to retire.
Thank you. It's my moisturizer.
Mayor Cruz, thank you for all the years you gave the county. We really do appreciate it.
Thank you.
Great job. Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much. Any comments from the public? Okay. Would you please come forward and receive your retirement plaque, and your husband is welcome as well.
Merry Christmas. Thank you. Chief, good to see you. How are you? Congratulations.
And you're going to go to Sunnyside? Sanger West High School. Oh, Sanger, the new one, the new one. Yeah. No, you too, come on. Both of you. Okay, one more picture with you, with him. That way the shine will go off on him. No more? Okay. Yeah, all right. Item number 4, clerk.
We now move to item number 4 under Chairman Quintero, proclaim May as Older Americans Month.
Okay, social services. Good morning.
I got to start again. Good morning. My name is Oralia Gomez. I'm a Deputy Director over the Adult Services Program for the Department of Social Services. I would first like to thank your board for approving and hearing the proclamation for Older American Month. That's greatly appreciated. The U.S. Census indicates that that would be about 12% of Fresno County's population. I'm here today with a couple of our community partners that work with us in lifting up and recognition of this population and supporting them through their final golden years, which is the reference that is often used, and sometimes they are good years and sometimes not so much, which is why our programs exist today in support of this community through our adult services program and in support of our older American community that can continue to live at home through our in-home supportive services program as we provide caregivers to allow them that opportunity. So with that short intro, I'm going to let you hear from our community partners, Valley Caregiver Resource Centers, and FMAAA. So first of all, I'll introduce Michelle de Boudoir. Thank you.
Good morning, and first I'd like to thank the Fresno County Board of Supervisors for this proclamation and recognizing Older Americans Month. We are honored to be a part of this presentation with Jamie Sharma and Hillary Benton from the Fresno Madera Area Agency on Aging, and Director Sonia Bugay and Aurelio Gomez, and all the staff at the Department of Social Services. Since 1963, Older American Month has been a time to celebrate older Americans, their stories, and all their contributions. The annual observance offers a special opportunity to learn about, support, and recognize our nation's older citizens. This year, the theme is Aging Unbound, which offers an opportunity to explore diverse aging experiences and discuss how communities can combat stereotypes. We, along with our friends here, are committed to supporting older adults, whether it be through our Oasis Adult Day program for those dealing with dementia, or a Fresno Madera Ombudsman program as they advocate for all those living in long-term care facilities, or a High Cap program as they assist those on Medicare, and of course, our Caregiver Resource Program as they are caring for those serving their loved ones. Valley Caregiver Resource Center has been actively preparing for and anticipate the needs for our seniors for the past 35 years. Every situation and every story of a senior in need is different and must be addressed with compassion and respect. We can never assume that their situation is being taken care of by someone else. We must all be responsible for looking for signs of aging to see where we must step in and provide the most basic necessities of life. This population is quiet and will not advocate for themselves. This is why I'm so grateful for your recognition today and bringing awareness to this great generation. Along with my friends here today, we continue to pledge our dedication in meeting the needs of our seniors and their family caregivers. All of us here believe the golden year should be golden and free of sorrow, hunger, and abuse, and that our collective work helps to combat that in Fresno County. Again, thank you for proclaiming May as Older Americans Month. Hillary?
Good morning. My name is Hillary Bennett, and I'm the Administrative Manager representing Fresno Madera Area Agency on Aging. I'm here on behalf of Executive Director Jamie Sharma. I would like to thank the Fresno County Board of Supervisors for this proclamation and recognizing Older Americans Month. We are honored to be here. Since 1973, the area agencies on aging were established. Fresno Madera Area Agency on Aging is one of 33 in California. We are committed to empowering older adults to make informed decisions and sound choices, to increase independence and ensure quality of life through connection and resources. We are committed to maintaining the ability of older adults to live independently for as long as possible. We address the basic needs and rights of older adults who are the most frail and vulnerable to promote aging with dignity and ensure a safe living environment. We're also committed to developing community-based systems of care that provide services which support independence within California's interdependent society and protect the quality of life of older persons with functional impairments. However, none of these things would be possible without the amazing people that are dedicated to supporting older adults in our area. Our case managers, our care providers, our social workers, our nurses, and our volunteers. For we believe it is people, not programs, that make FMAAA thrive. The Multi-Purpose Senior Services Program and Home Delivered Meals Program inside FMAAA works to educate on senior nutrition and provide nutritious meals in-home and at our senior nutrition care congregate meal sites. MSSP strives to protect older adults with in-home care and avoid displacement, along with our devoted partnerships of Central California Legal Services, providing free legal support to our older adults, and Valley Caregiver Resource Center providing multifaceted approach for our older adult communities. As Michelle de Boudoir stated, BCRC goes above and beyond for our seniors, and we at FMAAA are delighted to partner with them. As the theme of the 2023 Older Americans Month is Aging Unbound, I'm a firm believer in supporting the whole person. Similar to Maslow's hierarchy of motivational theory, we, as willing and able-bodied persons, must support the basic physiological and safety needs of our older adults. This will provide an unbreakable trust and support system to see amazing growth and transformation, without judgment, without stereotypes, but with unapologetic love. Anything is possible. Thank you for proclaiming May as Older Americans Month.
just going to add, Sonia Bouguet, I'm just going to add my thank you to the board for the proclamation and thank our partners for being here because none of our agencies do this alone. This is a joint work and a worthwhile work. So thank you for the proclamation.
Okay. Thank you. Any comments from the board?
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, I'd like to thank the presentation today from Valley Care Resources, our partner, and also as this board's appointment or position on FMAAA. Thank you for all the work that FMAAA does, and if you could extend that to the rest of the organization. You know, it was very challenging during COVID to keep some of our seniors fed and active and with some resources. It was really tough times, but we're back running at full power. So I want to thank all of our partners for helping us get this done.
Anybody else? Okay, none. Well, I'd like, having served on the board before, and also when I was on the Fresno City Council, serving on the board as well, FMAAA, and you know, just seeing a lot of the progress that has been made over the years in terms of outreach and helping our community. And I'd like to just read a quick paragraph from the proclamation that we have. And one of the things that I'm seeing as I look out here, is something that, you know, Fresno being a diverse community, you know, we've all, many of us that have lived here for a number of years, I see we have, you know, we've all become bicultural, bilingual. We're a little bit older, so we're bifocal. So I'll go ahead and read that part. It says, whereas the master plan for aging with the 5 goals of housing for all ages and stages, health reimagined, inclusion and equity, not isolation, caregiving that works, and affording aging is a stakeholder-driven plan which will support an infrastructure to ensure all Fresno residents can remain in their community with age and dignity. And I want to thank you for you know, following up and really including this as part of the master plan. And it's something that's going to continue to work for all of us. With that, I'd like to make a motion to approve. Second by Supervisor Branda. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion passes. Please come up and... The movie, The Replacements.
This is a new movie, The Statue.
We now move to item number 5 under Supervisor Magsic. Proclaim April 23rd through the 29th, 2023 as National Crime Victims' Rights Week in County of Fresno.
Supervisor Magsic.
Thank you. About 25 years ago, I had the pleasure of graduating with a degree in criminology and a victim service certificate. And one of the things I learned in school, at the time there were 3 majors, law enforcement, corrections, and victimology. And victimology was new at the time. And one of the things that I learned is when a crime happens, many times society focuses on the perpetrator, the individual who's committed the crime, but a lot of people forget about the victims and how the victims carry scars with them, not only through the process, if there are hearings, or if there's a child that has to be taken out of a home and placed into, you know, foster care for one reason or another. So I appreciate the fact that our probation department remembers to celebrate National Crime Victims' Rights Week, because victims of crime do need to be remembered, and we need, as a community, we need to remember the trauma that's caused and the healing that is there as well. So Chief, can you tell us a little bit more about what your office is going to be doing, the significance of remembering victims, and then, of course, I will finish up with reading a small portion of this proclamation.
Thank you so much, Supervisor Magzig, and thank you again for the sponsoring our proclamation this morning. Thank you, Chair, and to the board members, Kirk Haynes, Chief Probation Officer. And Supervisor Magzig, you bring a unique perspective to the work that we do here because of your background, and we've had discussions about that as well. And so we want to just say thank you so much for the support of this board over the years as we've recognized National Crime Victims' Rights Week. And this is that week where we set aside time to be able to really herald the voices of victims and herald really the really great work that our team does at the James Earl and Crime Victims Assistance Center. Every year, millions of Americans are affected by crime. Many will need ongoing care and resources. The dedicated staff of the James Earl and Crime Victims Assistance Center, they devote themselves by providing resources, referral, and support for victims in Fresno County. And today we have just a small portion, not a small portion, but it's actually a big portion. I roll deep whenever I come to the board, okay? But what's outstanding about this group is that they've served over 8,000 victims last year. Think about the numbers and in the variety of different types of crimes, violent crimes, DUI crimes, so many different facets of the work that they do is really incredible and oftentimes not seen because we really try to focus our services around really what do the victims and their families need. So this week, April 23rd to the 29th, is a time to raise awareness of victims' rights and services for those whose lives have been forever altered by crime. This year's theme is Survivor Voices, Elevate, Engage, Affect Change. And it calls upon communities to amplify the voices of survivors and to create environments where survivors have the confidence that they'll be heard, believed, and supported. And lastly, I'd like to thank Bernice and the board for allowing us to be able to display a portion of our quilt display that we'll be displaying later on this evening out here in the board chambers as we honor victims of crimes throughout the years. So today I'm going to ask Assistant Deputy Chief Karen Roach to give us a few words about tonight's event, and then also Deputy Chief Vicki Noel, I'm sorry, if you have anything that you want to say.
We brought along a quilt as well to show, and I want to make sure you guys know the significance of our quilts. Thank you. I appreciate you allowing me to be here. My name is Karen Roach, Assistant Deputy Chief, Probation Officer of the James Earl and Crime Victim Assistance Center, which is Fresno County's designated victim witness center. The chief pretty much, where is the chief? Oh my God, okay. I won't repeat some of the information the chief so eloquently articulated already. I am here with a small sprinkling of my staff. This is just a small portion, even though the chief rolls deep. This is just a small portion of the staff that have dedicated their life and their career to servicing Fresno County victims of violent crime. 26 staff total are in our center that, like I said, have dedicated their life to the well-being of our survivors. Chief talked about the week-long initiative of Survivor and Survivor Voices, ensuring our victims and our survivors, their voices heard throughout the criminal justice system. During National Crime Victims' Rights Week, we try to do a highlight one particular event. This year, we will be doing our quilt unveiling. I'm going to have them show that to the audience as well so they can see it. Each individual patch represented on the quilts that we have been creating since 1994 have been individually made by family members of those that have been impacted by violent crime and have lost their life. Each individually made by the surviving family members with the love and uniqueness of each patch as to each life that was lost. Tonight we'll be honoring and unveiling the 2023 Victims Memorial Quilt at the Plaza Building from 6 to 7. This year, we will be honoring 22 patches representing 23 victims of senseless violent crime. We encourage the public to come. We encourage your board to come attend. A big piece of the public event is to show our citizens and our survivors so they feel the support of the community around them. Thank you for your time.
Appreciate it. Anything else?
Thank you, and we're available for any questions of the board.
Any comments from the board? Supervisor Brandau? You didn't, no comments?
I have some final comments when the public's closed.
Any comments from the public? Okay, seeing none, I'll entertain a motion in a second to approve this item.
I will make that motion for approval.
We have a first and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Thank you for all the work you do.
Thank you.
Greatly appreciate it. There he is.
Thank you, Chief.
Chief.
Morning. With the little star. Thank you. Good presentation.
Thank you.
Morning.
Thank you.
How are you?
Thank you.
Morning. Yeah, I haven't seen you in a while. Morning.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Keep up the good work.
Thank you.
Thank you for your work.
Thank you. Thank you.
Good morning. Okay, Brandon, slide over. You've had a busy morning. There you go.
We now move to item number 6, under Supervisor Brandau and Supervisor Mendez, proclaim May 14 through May 2023 as Peace Officer Memorial Week and May 4th, 2023 as Peace Officer Memorial Day in Fresno County.
Supervisors Mendez and Brandau.
Okay, we wait until this kind of clears out. We will have Sheriff Zanoni and Sergeant Mayo and members of the Peace Officers Memorial Board come up. You know, this is, you know, we always have to remember that this is about two things. The memorial is about officers that gave it all. And this is about officers that serve and the respect that we have, that they put their life up every day. So go ahead.
Thank you. Chairman Quintero, Vice Chairman Magsig, honored board members. If I may, I'd like to invite up Under Sheriff Steve McComas and Deputy Eric Schmidt, the President of the Fresno Deputy Sheriff's Association, to join me alongside Greg Little with the Fresno Peace Officers Memorial Foundation. Good morning. I'm Edward Mayo, a sergeant with the Fresno Sheriff's Office and Vice President of the Fresno County Peace Officers Memorial Foundation. Thank you for taking the time to honor these peace officers, those peace officers who gave their lives in the line of duty. The first Thursday of May, we come together to respect, honor, and remember those that have made the ultimate sacrifice in the line of duty. On May 4 in Courthouse Park, we will conduct a ceremony. This ceremony is a solemn event, and we are thankful to have the support of the Supervisors Brandau and Mendez for their support in this event. With that, every year, the Fresno County Peace Officers Memorial Foundation designs a coin and pin to honor those who have paid the ultimate sacrifice. With that, I'd like to introduce Fresno Sheriff's Office Deputy Greg Little, the treasurer with the Fresno County Peace Officers Memorial Foundation.
Good morning. I'm Deputy Greg Little. I'm the second vice president with the Fresno Deputy Sheriff's Association and treasurer with the Fresno County Peace Officer Memorial. I'd like to thank you for honoring us for Peace Officer Memorial Week and especially Peace Officer Memorial Day. It is a very solemn experience for us. We're very glad to be able to put on this event every year in the park. We do it all on donations from the community, and it is a very solemn event for us. Most of our friends and colleagues are ones that are on the wall, especially us. We've all been there for 20 or 30 years, and we know a lot of people that are there on the wall, so we greatly appreciate your guys' support of this. On behalf of the Fresno Deputy Sheriff's Association, I do have coins and pins for all of you for this year's Fresno County Peace Officer Memorial.
Chairman of the board, members of the board, thank you for having us here today, and thank you for this proclamation. Supervisor Mendez, I really appreciate your comments and those words. I think they strike a chord with all of us here in law enforcement because of what we've been through. We know how dangerous this job is. We know that the men and women of the sheriff's office and every other agency in Fresno County and across this state and this nation put their lives on the line every day to make sure that we have peace, that we're protected, and that law offenders or violators are where they're supposed to be, off our streets, so they can't harm residents and people in our communities. Whether it was Harry Van Meter back in February 21st of 1907 or shortly thereafter, Jody Price, March 13th of 1907, Van Meter was a Fresno police officer. Price was one of our deputy sheriffs, all the way up to January 31st of 2023, when Gonzalo Carrasco from the Selma Police Department was killed in the line of duty in Fresno County. There's been too many. Hopefully there's no more, but that's not the reality that we live in law enforcement. We go out there and we put our lives on the line every day to do our jobs. Appreciate the Peace Officers Memorial Week in Fresno County, and actually the day for Peace Officers Memorial. It's not something that we look forward to, but it's something that we do to honor, to respect, and show how proud we are of those individuals who have given the ultimate sacrifice in protecting the residents of Fresno County. Thank you.
Any comments from the board?
Yeah, I would just like to add, well, gentlemen, thank you for making the presentation. We actually enjoy the fact that we started off our meeting with a color guard, so thank you. That was very special. When we like to do that every year when we recognize Memorial Week. So I did just want to throw out a couple of stats, but I'll make it really brief. Across America, more than 24,000 men and women have given their lives as peace officers. Here in Fresno County, as it was mentioned, we've had 63. These include people from our Sheriff's Department, our District Attorney's Department, probation, which we've heard from today, local police jurisdictions like the Selma officer Carrasco, who was killed earlier this year, and other agencies that operate inside of Fresno County. So it's a special event. I know that usually almost all 5 of us are at that event, which is pretty rare, but shows our dedication to keeping this memorial important in the eyes of our community. So I would just add that if somebody's watching this by video or can hear this and they would like to join us, it is next Thursday, May 4th at 12 noon right here in Courthouse Park, and it will be so big you'll easily find your way to where to sit down. So please join me, and I'm assuming a vast majority of my colleagues here next Thursday as we celebrate. Thank you.
Supervisor Magzik.
So I echo all those comments. And also, May the 4th is National Day of Prayer. And so I think it's very fitting that our nation will be praying on this particular day. I will not be able to attend next Thursday because I will be at another event that I committed to about 4 months ago at New Covenant Community Church, helping to lead that National Day of Prayer. But I will be with you in spirit and fully support all of your efforts and appreciate the dedication that the men and women in law enforcement give to Fresno County. So thank you for bringing this forward, and thank you, supervisors, for this proclamation today.
I want to thank you for continuing to do this annual event. It's something that we should never forget of the men and women who've worked tirelessly to protect our Fresno County. So I want to thank you for that. Okay, with that, I'll entertain a motion. Okay.
Second.
Supervisor, do you want to take it out to the public before you?
Any comments from the public? Okay, I got caught up in the moment. We have a motion and a second. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes. Please come forward. My grandson. look funny out of uniform now.
Good to see you, my friend. Because you're back.
Oh, is it the cleaners? Is it the cleaners for Thursday?
It will stand for a while.
Oh, my God. Okay.
Thank you, Sheriff. Good seeing you again.
See you this morning?
My friend, good to see you.
Good presentation.
We now move to item number 7 under the Administrative Office. Receive presentation from Fresno Housing to share the agency's accomplishments and activities in 2022 as well as potential opportunities in 2023.
Mr. Nerlin?
Good morning, Chairman, members of the board. It's my pleasure this morning to introduce someone that I think many of you have met, and that's Tyrone Williams from the Fresno Housing Authority. And with him today in the audience is Tammy Townsend, as Deputy Executive Director, and I think I see out there Michael Duarte as well, the Chief Real Estate Officer. I just want to say Tyrone and I both came in at very similar times, and very quickly, Tyrone was reaching out to me to talk about all the collaboration between the Fresno Housing Authority and Fresno County. And this is something we talked about in those meetings, so I appreciate Tyrone being here today. I just want to mention that Tyrone brings a lot of experience to this job. He's done similar things, serving communities in Boston, Houston, Atlanta, Sacramento. Since he's been here, he's also been appointed to a number of prestigious positions like the Consumer Advisory Board. He was appointed by the governor to the California Housing Finance Agency. So he is representing Fresno County, and I'm appreciative to have him as a partner. So Tyrone, welcome. And we appreciate the opportunity for you to present this partnership with Fresno County.
Well, thank you. And it really is an honor to kind of bring you all up to speed. Some of you may already be aware that our housing authority really focuses on 4 areas. That is in affordable housing and workforce development as a developer. We also administer and oversee through property management public housing units. We also administer the housing choice vouchers, commonly known in some circles as Section 8, and we are actively engaged in the work of our resident empowerment. So we're about physical place as well enhancing the lives of our residents. My purpose this morning is to quickly go over some of our accomplishments. We have a great working relationship with the county departments and staff, and we're here to share about that. What I'd like to talk about briefly is celebrating our partnership in the areas of neighborhood development, supportive services, and discuss housing needs in the county. We are, as you already are aware, in the middle of a housing crisis of colossal proportion, and we are your partners in addressing housing. Not only addressing building housing, affordable housing, but also addressing needs of those who are unhoused, our homeless population. I'd like to start off by looking at our year 2022 in review from the standpoint of partnering with our neighborhood development activities. We have currently a couple of pending awards. That means that we're waiting for some funding to be awarded, but we are working currently on Wedgewood Villas. That's in Sanger. That's 63 units of senior housing. Esperanza Commons, which is in Mendota, that's 59 units. That's a multifamily family development that's currently underway. We've also completed in 2022 Linnea Villas, which is in Kingsburg, and some of you joined us out for that celebration. But our goal is, and our reputation is, that whenever we build, whether it's senior or in a family housing, that the quality of construction, the quality of the design is such that it's indistinguishable among market rate housing developments of similar size. So our goal is that when we come into your neighborhood, your property values do not go down, they go up because of the quality of construction and the quality of property management. We're also partnering with your department of behavioral health. So in addition to building the units, there are social services that are often provided for those residents. And currently, right now, we have partnerships with the Department of Behavioral Health for the villages at Paragon. That's 27 supportive units. The villages at Broadway, 25 supported units. Alegre Commons, that's 20 family units and 21 supportive units. Currently under construction, the Arthur at Blackstone, we have 20 family units and 20 supportive units. Wilma was here sharing earlier about the importance of CASA and providing housing for those youth who are aging out of foster care. I have the privilege of serving on the state CASA board, and we stand in agreement and supportive of those, but our agency is partnering to provide housing options for those individuals as well. And we currently have Avalon Commons, which is our newest project that's currently under construction, just launched, and that is 48 family units and 11 supportive units. In addition to constructing units, we're also joining with providing social services and family reunification services through El Puente, and we're looking to expand those partnerships as well. Other projects in the county, San Joaquin Commons, that's 50 family units. The projects, that's in pre-development at this time. We've received funding for La Jolla Commons, that's in Firebar, 67 units. That's going to start under construction this summer. And also, right now, even as we speak, Corazon de Valle Commons in Huron, that's 60 family units that are under construction, and Centris Gardens in Orange Grove, 29. In the middle of a housing crisis where there is a real need for expanded affordable housing and workforce housing, we're leading that effort. We've got an incredible, unique partnership going on in Huron. We, as I shared, have 60 family units under construction. The city of Huron sold us the land for the units for $1, but in return, they waived city impact fees, and in return, we sold them land for the city hall for $1. And so right now, we've got a family unit under construction next door to City Hall that's under construction, adjacent to the police department, and just a few blocks away from a medical facility, all within close proximity serving those residents in Huron. I'd like to just briefly talk about the state of housing. I shared that we're in the middle of a crisis. This graph, the black line really shows the increase in the asking prices for the average rental unit over the last 21 years. Currently in 2021, the average rental price is $1,200 per unit. That's an increase of 10.7% in the last, from the last quarter of 2022 to the last quarter of 2021. So the average is $1,200. You can see in the blue lines that there's been an ongoing increase in the average asking price. There have been a few times in the market where the asking price has really taken a dip, but that, as you can see in the red lines, that's rare. But in addition to that asking price, those are folks who can afford to pay for rental units. We've seen a significant increase in the number of unhoused individuals who are looking for housing. The blue area shows that the current level of housing that's being provided for the unhoused. The orange is the indication of where we are, about 2,000 units through the state's program that's Home Key, where you acquire a motel, you convert it to housing for the unhoused. But the red line really tells the story. Throughout this county, there's a growing number of individuals and families who are in need of housing, who are now unhoused. We also talk about the impact of rental rates, not only for those who are unhoused, but those who are working. The red line here shows that for renters in Fresno County today, to be able to afford that $1,222 average rent, they would need to be making about $23 an hour. But when you look at the average rate, wage in Fresno County, and you look at what medical assistants are being paid, and janitors and retail and farm workers and healthcare aides and the state minimum wage, you can see that there is a significant difference between what people in Fresno County are currently making, including county employees, and what the average rate would require to move into that $1,222 a month apartment. We've got a lot of work to do, and we are pleased to be joining you in that effort. Our efforts around housing the homeless, we've been actively engaged in that. At this point, we've had about 793 individuals that have been provided housing through shelters who were, prior to that, living in unhoused situations. We've provided opportunities for permanent housing, to move into permanent housing, to move into temporary housing. And we've also aware that some of those individuals have mental health needs, and we are partnering with the Department of Social Services to provide those needs as well. Our next steps. I and my staff are committed to hearing and meeting with the administrators and mayors throughout our county, and to meeting with you. So you'll be getting invitations from our office soon. But we understand that not every city is the same. We understand not every condition is the same, but we are your partners in housing in this effort. And we want to hear your goals as well as the individual cities' goals and objectives, their opportunities and their challenges, and we're working side by side with the county departments as well as those cities as well. And thanks to Paul and his staff for the incredible partnership that we have with them. That concludes my presentation for this morning. I am and my staff are open to any questions that you may have. Thank you.
Supervisor Magzig.
Thank you for that presentation. I have a couple of quick questions. So again, here in Fresno County, sometimes larger cities will have their own housing authorities, the county will have its own, but we have one housing authority. It's the City and County Housing Authority, correct?
We actually have two housing authorities, but we function as one. For HUD reasons, we have the County Housing Authority and we have the City Housing Authority. That's why you all have the opportunity to appoint commissioners to the County Housing Authority Board, and the City Council and Mayor appoint to the City County. But when we meet, as we will this evening at 5 o'clock, we meet together. We understand that there is a lot of similarity and commonality and moving back and forth between the city. People who are looking for housing really don't look for jurisdictional boundaries. They look for opportunities, and that's how we function from that perspective.
The reason I wanted to kind of bring that up is with your organization, there's 15 cities in Fresno County and then many, many more unincorporated areas. And so just with the graphic that you've presented us and the slide show that you also provided, there's numerous projects. Many are in the city of Fresno, but many are also in some of these other 15 cities and unincorporated areas. So I just wanted, maybe if you can just provide a real brief explanation, and you kind of did that already, but a brief explanation about how the city appointees, the county appointees work together, and how you mentioned our behavioral health department, Department of Social Services, Department of Public Health, how we all work together to provide housing services for the whole county and all the cities as well.
Well, at the board level, every item that there's an action taken on is a vote that's participated by all the commissioners, both county and city. Regardless of whether the project lies in the city of Fresno or outside of the city of Fresno. All of the issues related to how our agency functions and the services that we provide are across all boundaries. And so the actions that they take and the programs and policies that they implement really are aligned and are mutually agreeable in supporting services as well as housing development across the county. When we look at how we work together, one is that we've received significant support for housing development from the city. but the city does not provide or does not have access to the same level of funding that the county has when it comes to services. And so many of the projects that I mentioned that I said provide services, that is a partnership. We have the county providing services to projects that are located within the boundaries of the city as well as outside. And many of the projects that are funded by the city of Fresno are also service individuals who move from the county into the city because that's where different projects become available at different times. We have a tremendous opportunity to leverage and to partner across jurisdictions. You all have resources that the city does not have, and they have access to resources that in some cases you don't have or the outside jurisdictions don't have. To the degree that we can strengthen that partnership, I think everyone in need of affordable housing has an opportunity to benefit from that. And Paul and I, we have a great relationship, and I know that we're committed to leveraging every resource at the state level and at the federal level to complement the local resources as well.
Supervisor Mendez.
I'm going to give you a little history lesson on this photo up here. You know, originally the city of Kingsburg was very resistant to having a housing authority, actually do a project in their town. And this is actually the second one that they did, because the first one was closer to downtown and it was very much done in the Swedish style. And from that time on, they wanted more. And I mean, you guys completely flipped them on what the housing authority actually did. And I think this is just a good example of the good work you guys do.
Well, thank you, sir. We have a phenomenal team, and we are committed to elevating the realities of what affordable housing and workforce housing looks like and who it serves.
Supervisor
Tyrone,
Brandon.
great job. And this pamphlet that you passed out's packed. It's not huge, but it's packed with a lot of real cool facts that support all the stuff that you've accomplished over the years. So thank you for presenting today.
Thank you.
Mr. Williams, how long have you been in your current job?
About a year and 6 months.
Year and 6 months. Yeah, you have some tremendous big shoes to fill. Your predecessor did a fantastic job, and I will echo Supervisor Mendez's comments. The projects that have been done in my district, specifically the communities of Kerman and Fireball, when I did the ribbon cutting, you would have thought they were market rate apartment units, and can't tell the difference. I think there's a tremendous need. You've been here now for a year and a half, and hopefully you have the success as your predecessor, because while these are nice, but we need more going forward. So hopefully you have some on the books. I know you've had some staff turnover, but I like to get things done, and we need more built. So hopefully you have those in the works, and while other communities may be some resistance to it, I welcome you in District 1, as do our communities, and the sooner the better.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you for the presentation, Mr. Williams, and it was good to meet you earlier this year at the giving me a tour of the Monarch Apartments in Chinatown, and those are just beautiful. And I'll echo the same sentiments as my colleagues. I mean, they're just tremendous. They're great, and when you put a facility like that in an area like Chinatown, it starts like, as you're well aware, it starts like a rebirth in the area. There's a lot of interest. There's a lot of folks that become a lot more hopeful, and rightly so. So I want to thank you for that. It's a great job for you and your team. I know you gave a lot of praise to your team when we first met, and rightly so. So thank you very much. Keep up the great work. Look forward to working with you. Okay. Any comments from the public? Yes, please come forward.
Hello, Brandy News Vegas. I am grateful for the increase of supportive housing and know some of our unhoused who got into one of these units and glad that they're being received by the community. The information, the cost of the rise of rentals and adjacent rise in number of unhoused is very sobering. We're seeing that in real time. We have people currently from our community organizations in Sacramento trying to push for prevention of homelessness due to rental costs. And I ask that the county keep that in mind in making a priority among the budget, seeing these things for homeless prevention and to seek and add wherever possible in the budget more housing and interim shelters as the need is growing even with the progress. And in this mind that there would be in assisting your constituents who are without housing to have a compassionate response as people want shelter and housing. As Arias had pointed out recently, the growing reason for people becoming homeless is elderly who are priced out of rental costs with fixed incomes, as well as disabled and families, whatnot. And there are many who have experienced crisis who are having a difficult time getting into housing, which is why these are so important. I just got a call from someone this morning asking for help trying to find a shelter who was getting out of the hospital. And yesterday we lost two community members from the unhoused community who have died due to where they're at. One thing that I'm impressed with the housing authority is that for many of the permanent housing, there are community meetings for people to give input and communicate with each other. And I would like to see that, want to ask to see that extended to shelters and supportive housing to ensure that the community that you are serving and investing has a voice on weaknesses, needs, concerns, increase. Some of the things they ask for is the increase of supportive services, and that there also be a discrete way to be able to voice more sensitive concerns, as well as one of our community members asked for a third-party audit to voice concerns. To be able to ensure that what we are investing in is what you're getting with the shelters, that the needs are being met, that to ensure that no one's being exited or leaving the shelters who is not moving forward without a fair process to make sure that exactly what you're expecting is what you are getting from these. And as it is normal in a business and services to get input from those served, this is one of the most vulnerable groups that need to have a voice, and I would love to see, again, different processes for those who are being served in the supportive housing and shelters to be able to come together, for community meetings, be able to have a way to be able to voice their needs and concerns and successes and other things this is an enormous investment, and what a better way to ensure the effectiveness and to hear from those who are being served. Thank you, and thank you for your presentation.
Okay, no other comments from the public. Thank you, Mr. Williams. There will be no motion on this item as it was strictly informational. Great presentation. Mr. Nerlin, anything you want to say in closing?
I'll just end with this, and I think Tyrone said this, that we're in this together, and this is about cross-sector collaboration and working together. And we also have Susan Holt, our Director of Behavioral Health, in the audience, who's been at a lot of these ribbon cuttings and is a key partner in this as well for the county. So thank you, Tyrone, and to the team, and we look forward to working on the challenges before us. Thank you. Thank you, Chairman.
Thank you.
We now move to item number 8, under Public Works and Planning. Consider appeal of Planning Commission's denial of variance application number 4139, proposing to allow the creation of a 2.62 acre and a 30.86 acre parcel from an existing 33.48 acre parcel in the AE-20.
Mr. White or his designee?
Morning, Mr. Chairman. Yes, sir.
That would be you, Will.
Morning, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. Will Kettler, along with Mr. Chris Mata, Development Services, Department of Public Works and Planning. This item comes to your board as mentioned on appeal of the Planning Commission's denial. There are 4 required findings for variance. They're listed on page 2 of the agenda item. I can summarize those for you if you would like. Just let me know and I'll be happy to do that. In this case, the proposal is to sell off the proposed 2.62 acre parcel from the over 30 acre parcel balance. The applicant intends to sell it off and then continue farming the parcel as it exists today until such time as residential development opportunities present themselves. Planning Commission considered this item on February 23rd of this year, voted 4-1 with 3 members absent, indicating they could not make the required findings. If your board is able to make the findings, it should so state and indicate a motion to uphold the appeal of the commission's denial and approve the project. If your board is unable to make the findings, a motion to deny would be appropriate. Of note, there was one, and any approval action would be subject to the conditions listed in attachment D of the agenda item. And there is one clarification or correction. On page 2 of the agenda item, there was a request for the board to include an indemnification agreement. Staff does not believe at this time that that's warranted given the limited scope of the project, so we do not recommend that indemnification be included in this item, if approved.
And I'm sorry, Will, can you state that again, that you do want to have indemnification included or do not?
Sorry, we do not. It's indicated in the agenda item that it should be.
Yeah.
But in reviewing the limited scope of the project, we do not feel it's warranted in this time, so we do not recommend indemnification
Okay.
in this case.
If they uphold the appeal, we still want an indemnification provision.
We do not believe it's necessary, given the scope of the project, if it's approved.
Okay. My recommendation would still be to, if you uphold the appeal, to still include an indemnification project.
Okay. Supervisor Magzik, it's in your district.
Yep, and just one thing I wanted to note, I know that when it came before the Planning Commission that we had, I think 5 members, which is the minimum number of members to hold that meeting. It wasn't unanimous, but we did have a majority that voted against allowing this variance to occur. The bottom line, it really comes down to the findings. And so what I want to hear is the applicant who is here, and when we open it up to the public, for me, I need to hear them, how they believe that those 4 findings can be made, and so I'm going to reserve my judgment until they come up and share how those findings can be met. That's the bottom line for me.
Any other comments from the board? Okay. Okay. We'll entertain some comments from the public.
Good morning, Chair Quintero, members of the Fresno County Board. My name is Doris Semi, representing Granville Homes, the applicant. Out of the 4 findings, we agree with the county on one of the findings. So the issue is the other 3 findings that that David Randall, the county planning, could not come to, and we disagree with. So the first item, the first finding, is extraordinary circumstances. This property is in Seda, which is the future development plan for the city of Fresno, and that the yellow arrow points to the location of the 33-acre parcel that's within Seda. It's inside the sphere of influence of the city of Fresno, which has been for over 15 years. And it's planned in the next 5 years to be developed. There's a timeline that the city of Fresno has put out that by the year 2028, there'll be infrastructure to the entire Seda area for development. I have a copy of that. Be glad to share that. Mayor Dyer put that out several months ago. So that's our position on the first finding. That it isn't extra. It's not out in the middle of nowhere. It's in the sphere of influence of the city of Fresno. It's within Seda. It's across the street from the Terry Bradley Educational Complex that's planned to be open in 2 years. They're working through their environmental findings right now. So that's item number 1. And that's our position on that. Again, it's unusual. It's not in the middle of nowhere where we're trying to parcel something off. The second item is, it's a variance that's necessary for the preservation and enjoyment of this property and other property owners. First of all, there's over 100 parcels within 1 mile of this location that have had variances that are in size less than 20 acres, many between 2 and 4 acres. So this is not something extraordinary in this area. Finding number 3, that the county agreed with us. We were in agreement. And then finding number 4 this does not conflict with the general plan of the County of Fresno. We are not adding density or housing while it's in the County of Fresno. We have no plans on developing it in the county. What we're actually planning on doing is adding acreage that will be farmed over the next 5 years while we're waiting for the city infrastructure to arrive. So this is a 33-acre site with a single-family home on it, which we want to preserve, parcel, and sell so that we can actually farm the balance of the 30 acres that's adjacent to this parcel. Currently, it's an abandoned, or in the process of being an abandoned nursery, and we plan on farming this until such time as it's ready to be developed in the city of Fresno. So those are the three key points that are our findings that we believe should be considered by this board, and I'd be glad to answer any questions that you may have. That's the map of what's in front of what I'm showing is a map of SADA, Southeast Development Area, and we have the map of what is going to be developed. We have a map. We'd be glad to share that with the county board.
Have you removed this 33-acre parcel out of Williamson, or is it still in Williamson, or was it in Williamson?
It's not in Williamson.
Okay.
Right.
Okay. And, when you brought up the Southeast Development Area, did you make that appeal as well to the Planning Commission, or is this something that you've done more recently? Because, I mean, to me, I can see I can see that as being somewhat extraordinary because it is in the sphere of influence of the city, and the city's been pushing hard on SADA. So was that something that you presented to staff in the Planning Commission, but they still weren't able to make it?
We didn't present it to staff. We presented it to the Planning Commission. Unfortunately, that day it was a short attendance of the Planning Commission. The chair, Chair Abrahamian, understood and agreed with us that these are extraordinary circumstances. This is insane. I mean, this entire area is going to get developed. It's just a matter of time. With this, a few years from now, you're going to see. But actually, in 2 years, you're going to see development across the street with the Terry Bradley Educational Complex.
And then with this, you're not. Your intent is not to carve off this 2.5-acre parcel, then build more on the 30-acre parcel within the county, correct?
That's correct.
Okay, so you're not asking to build more homes in the county in the future.
That's correct. We're actually, what we want to do is farm the 30 acres. So we're actually adding 30 acres of farmland to the county of Fresno's area of farming.
Okay.
Any other comments from the board? Okay. Okay. Do we have any comments from the public?
Good morning.
Good morning.
My name is Corinne Parham, and I'm here with my husband, Art. We reside at 9299 East Clinton Avenue, about a quarter-mile southeast of the proposed variance. We have raised livestock there for over 33 years, and we firmly believe that the approval of this variance would be detrimental to the future of the ag zone that it currently resides under. The owner and the applicant of the variances state that they're going to keep their property under agricultural operation. However, we've already seen the continued urban growth wiping out agricultural land under the sphere of influence of the Southeast Development Plan. Plans indicate urban development will push the boundaries up to Highland Avenue on the east side and possibly further. We are hounded by realtors and land developers daily to buy our property and our neighbors' properties, and we fear for our future. Since Variance 4139 has been under consideration by this board and under contract by the land developer, the new Terry Bradley Educational Center has started construction, also located on Highland and Clinton, less than 1/8 of a mile from Variance 4139. Clovis Unified has already taken over 150 acres of highly valuable agricultural land, either by eminent domain or offering well below the market value to those people who resided there. Our friends and neighbors who farmed are now somewhere else or out of California. The fact that Clovis Unified was denied to tie into the city of Clovis or Fresno for another 5 years to the city water sources means that they are looking for a property to build a wastewater treatment plant. They will have to have it there because they're not only building 3 schools, but a stadium as well. It hasn't gone unnoticed by ourselves and people who live in this neighborhood that the variance 4139 is of the adequate size and proximity for said use. Allowing this applicant and owner of this variance to subdivide is setting a dangerous precedent that, if approved, the zoning restrictions may be changed yet again in the near future. We know that development is coming. What we're asking for is for you to carefully and thoughtfully think about what brings more value to Fresno County. In case you need to be reminded, Fresno County is home to 1.88 million acres of the world's most productive farmland, with agricultural operations covering nearly half of the county's entire land mass at 3.84 million acres. In California, the underlying...
Time is up.
Thank you.
Thank you.
May I address the board?
I'm sorry.
No one else?
Anyone else from the public wishing to comment? Okay.
Nathan, I'd like to say something first. My colleague to my far left here, Supervisor Mendez, always says this isn't question and answer, period. But ma'am, I'd like to address your concern. And my colleague and I, being a 4th and 3rd generation farmer, I hear you loud and clear, and I understand your position. I have voted no every time when something like this has come before the board. The problem with this is you now live in that purple area, which 20 years ago was voted to be the growth of Fresno. And while I understand your concerns, you live where growth is coming. And there, you can slow it down, but you cannot stop it. So I fully understand your concerns. If this were in any other area, I would vote no, as I have for 8 consecutive years. Unfortunately for you, this is what the city leaders chose 20 years ago, and this is just another step in the process. And while I understand, I believe there's little that can be done. So whether this little 2 acres is cut out or not, this will no longer be farming. And as the applicant said, within 5 years, the mayor of Fresno is committed to make the infrastructure that all this is going into development. The Terry Bradley Educational Center is a huge thing that's already under construction. That's not going to be stopped. And as you said, the dirt's already being moved. So I just wanted to tell you, I felt you deserved a response. I understand your concern. If you lived anywhere else, I would support you, but I can't do it because these are the plans that the leaders have made a long time ago, and this is just an orderly part of that process. And the only member of the Planning Commission that supported that is my representative on there, who's also a farmer and has consistently voted no, but he himself understands this is where it's coming, and it's very hard to do. So again, I felt you deserved a response. It's unfortunate, but I don't see anything we can do to help you in your situation, to be candid with you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Any other supervisor? Okay. Ma'am, excuse me. Just a quick comment on my part as well. For me, it wasn't 20 years ago, but I served on the city council that approved this plan. And I recall a lot of the property owners that came before the council. At the time, we even held hearings at the convention center. And the plan was a plan. It was presented. We got good feedback from both sides. In the end, it just felt that it was the best that would satisfy folks. I mean, we're not going to get 100% satisfaction, but The plan is the plan, as Supervisor Pacheco said, and that's what was approved. And we didn't, a lot of the folks that own property out there, I know, started making plans if they didn't want to be there, for what was eventually going to come. And you're seeing a growth even along the Jensen Avenue corridor. You have the new school there from Sanger Unified at Fowler and Jensen, and they're adding on again, which I believe is going to be administrative offices. So you drive that corridor of 180 or Jensen toward the Sanger and Centerville areas, that you're seeing all the rooftops that are coming in. But I remember when the plan was presented, and that's what we voted on to support. So, thank you. Okay. With that, do we have any other comments from the public? Okay, seeing none, I'll entertain a motion in a second. Oh, do you have?
Yeah. So just some general comments. Again, thank you, and I'll share with you, this is in my district, and my office will continue to be available to any residents who live in this area that are impacted as the city of Fresno continues to grow. But some things I want to share with all of you as well is whether it be Clovis Unified that is working on building their school, the Terry Bradley Center, or developers who want to develop. When I was in Clovis, we had an area that a lot of the residents didn't want to develop when I first got on the council. And then 15 years later, people started selling their land to developers. And one way that you're able to stop development is just if your neighbors don't sell to developers, they can't use eminent domain to build housing any longer. I'm not aware, and it may have been used back in 2007 when City of Clovis acquired that land. I don't know if it was a willing seller or if they used eminent domain. But as far as the developers out there are willing sellers that are selling it to the developers who want to put housing or commercial sites in. So, but it's challenging because you have kids that take over farms, and sometimes their interests aren't farming, and they let some of that stuff go. But my office is committed to working with you because there's impact to streets. There's definitely impacts to wells and sewer lines that are going to have to go in. So my office will remain committed. So after the action we take today, please know that you can reach out to my office. We will listen to your concerns, and we'll do everything we can to make sure that as the city of Fresno grows, they have as little impact as possible on your way of life. But I do appreciate your comments that you made today. So thank you for that. And with that, Mr. Chairman, based upon the testimony that was given by the applicant as in regards to findings 1 and 2, I can make those findings. Findings 3 and 4 had been made by staff, and so based upon the findings that were presented today and the findings that staff had made as well.
I don't know if staff did not make finding 4, so you're going to need to make
Okay, well then I'll just restate what I heard then. So finding 4 is the granting of such a variance will not be contrary to the objectives of the general plan. Again, with this, we're not creating more housing, so I asked the questions in regards to that. All we're doing is parceling off a piece and allowing the individual to continue to farm that land within the county. He stated publicly he's not looking to build more housing in the county. He wants to build once it's annexed into the city. So I can make finding 4. Do you need me to comment on each one of the findings, or is that good enough? I thought that finding 1, he indicated that this is within the city of Fresno Southeast Development Area. Growth is happening. There was conversation about how Clovis Unified is developing within close proximity to this site and how the mayor is committed to putting infrastructure in the ground. There was testimony to sewer and water plans. And so with that, to me, that is an exceptional or extraordinary circumstance because this is in the city of Fresno's new growth plan. So that's different than many other parts of the county. So, all right, so do you need 2?
So explain your basis for 2 as well.
So with finding number 2, such variance is necessary for the preservation and enjoyment of substantial property right, was indicated by the applicant that within a 1-mile radius, 100 parcels have been granted similar variances as what he's requesting. So again, there is precedent that's already in place where the county has granted such variances like that. So I can make finding number 2 as well. Any other findings I need to state publicly, articulate? So finding 3, the granting of a variance will not be detrimental to the public welfare. Again, with this, it's not changing the character of the overall property because he's not adding any more homes. He's just creating a new parcel, and he's going to continue to farm on the remainder. So I can make finding 3 as well. So with that, I will move for staff's recommendations. I need to hear from County Council if you want to also include, add a conditional of approval where the applicant shall enter into an agreement indemnifying the county, or if that is superfluous. Because in the staff report, it's stated to include, but I heard differences from staff as well as County Council. So County Council, does it need to be included?
Our standard requirement is to include that whenever possible in our agreements.
Fair enough. Then my motion will include that as well
I'll second
with
your-
staff's recommendations.
I'll second that.
And one point of clarification, your
Yeah.
motion included the conditions listed in attachment.
Correct.
Sure, very good.
Correct. That's part of the staff report. Absolutely. Yes.
Okay, we have a first and a second for approval. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Thank you. Item 9.
Item number 9, Board of Supervisor Committee reports and comments.
Okay. Supervisor Mendez?
I'm going to have a town hall meeting with Supervisor Verboen from Kings County at, it's going to be at Kings River Hardwick School on Excelsior Avenue. That's actually in Kings County. It'll be on the 27th at 6 o'clock. And the actual main speaker is going to be Dave Merritt from KRCD, who's operations chief, who is actually responsible for the water in the Kings River on a daily basis, so a very knowledgeable guy. I want to thank Josh. He wasn't here. Josh, when we did that film, we actually started in Fresno County, just south of Mount Whitney Avenue, next to one of my ranches, and we proceeded to into Kings County and went to the Crescent Weir and the Crescent Bypass, and then seen a few other things there and on the bypass, and then eventually ended up at the Army, where that was one of his highlights of water running out of the Army, which actually allows water to go south to the Tulare Lake, and it basically first through Empire number 1 and 2 before it gets there. So anyway, like I said, I think I want to thank Sonia for, it was kind of a, not the easiest rollout for this town hall. Kings County doesn't have the support that we do of people like Sonia, so it was a little, was not rolled out really good, but she enhanced it and did a great job of rolling it out for us.
Supervisor Magzig.
Yep, a couple quick updates. So I had the pleasure week before last to attend the CSAC convention. On that, they had a panel that lasted about 3 hours on homelessness. I got to participate in that a little bit. A great opportunity to meet with other counties. I'm very concerned with next month the state's going to be issuing its budget, and the hole in the state budget is probably going to be much larger than what they thought it was going to be in January. So just wanted to report out about that. FSERA, which is the retirement board I serve on, I want to share with you that there are some strange things happening right now in the markets, especially looking at fixed income treasuries. Because of the debt ceiling issue right now, 1-month treasuries, which typically are, in this environment we're in, yielding higher levels, they actually drop down about 100 basis points lower than 3-month and 6-month treasuries. And there's concern that the debt ceiling discussion in Washington, that's not going to be resolved timely. And so a lot of folks don't know what that's going to do to treasuries and payments. The federal government has never defaulted, but looking at just the times that we're in right now, it's causing the markets to be somewhat choppy. So I just wanted to share that with all of you. Clovis Rodeo is starting this week. We had the blood drive that took place yesterday. It's still taking place today at the rodeo grounds at the Clovis Rodeo Hall from 7 a.m. to 5 p.m. The rodeo if you want to go see Extreme Bulls, I think it's sold out, but tomorrow Extreme Bulls will be taking place. And, the rodeo goes, you can see a lot of action from Wednesday all the way through Sunday. And then, of course, there is the parade in Clovis, April 29th, which is Saturday. I would invite everyone to come out and enjoy one of the largest rodeos in the United States.
Things I wanted to cover. One is this past Saturday, we had our event celebrating Earth Day with Fresno County. Wanted to thank all the departments that showed up, set up information tables. We had approximately 1,500 folks come by and get good information from each of the booths. It was our sponsors, of course, were the County of Fresno, Big Fresno Fair, KYNO, Cagley Environmental, and All Around Bounce House. So it was a great event for the kids and adults. Some of the nonprofits and businesses that also had information booths got real good feedback from the visitors. Was Chevron, the Convention Visitors Bureau, AT&T, Workforce Development, Marjorie Mason, the American Ambulance, Fresno State University, the Association of Deaf and Hearing Impaired, Centro La Familia, to name a few. But all the county departments really stepped up, bringing their fire engines, their dump trucks, their tractors. Steve White even had a smile on his face when he was there. But anyway, it was overall, it was just a great day. Also wanted to share with you that Saturday evening, at Fresno State was they were having an event that was to honor the top dogs, graduates of the university, and one of the doctors that had come and to our board meetings regarding the closure of the Madera Hospital, you probably remember her, Dr. Danielle Campaign. She was to be honored as a top dog honoree, as well as 11 other individuals. And as the ceremony started in the new auditorium, a gentleman got up to speak, Mr. Cameron, and then all of a sudden he just stopped talking and just stared down at the crowd. And one of the honorees, all you heard was a thud on the floor, and he went down. And what I can tell you, if it wasn't for Dr. Campaign and some of the other doctors that she works with that were there for her honor, rushed to him and saved his life. And if it wasn't for Dr. Campaign being that close, he would have passed. But anyway, I just wanted to, thank her for doing what she did and acting so quickly, and told her afterwards, geez, you should have worn a cape or something. You did great. But she gave the credit to her team for the quick response that they had. And the honoree was, of course, former Fresno State graduate, played with Boyd Grant's basketball team, and was the athletic director at Fresno State. Now the athletic director at Oregon State is Scott Barnes, and he's doing well. So just wanted to report that part. So next item, clerk.
Chairman, do you mind if I make just a quick comment?
Sure.
Just wanted to acknowledge, I announced last board meeting the appointment of our new Chief Operating Officer, Ed Hill, and just want to acknowledge this is the first meeting that we have Ed Hill here today, so if I can have Ed stand for a moment just to recognize Ed and just offer the opportunity to welcome him publicly. If Ed wants to just say a couple words, if you don't mind.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. Ed Hill, your new Chief Operating Officer. I'd like to say that I'm very excited, honored, and humbled by this opportunity. A little bit about myself. I grew up in a military family, the son of a Marine for 20 years. That afforded me the opportunity to live in many great locations across our great nation. Many diverse locations, metropolitan areas like Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, small rural towns like Yuma, Arizona, When he retired, he moved the family back to small town, middle of nowhere, Nebraska, where I learned the definition of digging ditches and row-ins. In my professional career, I've held roles in both private and public sectors. My first professional career role was with Bose Corporation as a quality technician, where I learned and embraced quality and process improvement. I've been a ground and flight paramedic, probably for too long, and then I've held a couple roles in hospital administration. In 2005, I became the Region 5 Regional Disaster Medical Health Specialist for Kern County EMS, and was later appointed the EMS Director for Kern County. In 2017, I was appointed the Public Health Director in Kings County, and then their CAO in 2021. I'm very excited about this opportunity. They're going to kick me off working on some strategic planning, some process improvement, some broadband items, and anything else I think they lay at my feet. Really excited about the team that your board and Mr. Nerlin has built. It's because of that team, the resources that Fresno County has, and the future growth that Fresno County has that has drawn me to here. So I wanted to say thank you to your board, Mr. Nerlin, for the opportunity, and I look forward to working with you.
Thank you, Ed, and thank you, Chairman, for that opportunity.
We now move to item number 10, board appointments.
Okay. Any members who'd like to make appointments? Supervisor Mendez? Magzig? Okay. Madam Clerk, next item.
We now move to item number 11, public presentations. This portion of the meeting is reserved for persons desiring to address the board on any matter not on this agenda.
Are there any members of the public who wish to address the board on any matter not on this agenda? Please form a line behind the podium. You're limited to 3 minutes per person and not more than 15 minutes per total topic.
Thank you, Chairman Quintero and the board for allowing me to report today. For those who don't know, my name is Joshua Babcock. I'm the field representative for Congressman John Duarte. I cover Fresno and Madera County. Congressman Duarte has had an opportunity to bring forward and sign on to a number of pieces of legislation, including the Hmong Congressional Gold Medal Act. This bill is to honor the distinguished service that the Hmong people have given in the fight against communism throughout the Vietnam War. We also have the Migrant Worker Housing Reform Act. This would create tax incentives for companies to create and maintain housing for migrant workers in the country under the H-2A visa. We also have the Foreign Retaliatory Agriculture Supplement Act. This would supplement the agricultural producers for revenue lost as a result of retaliatory tariffs placed on the U.S. exports, based on a producer's 5-year annual average revenue. We also have the Root and Stem Reform. This would amend the Forest and Rangeland Renewable Resources Planning Act of 1974 and the Federal Land Policy Management Act of 1976 to authorize the Forest Service and Bureau of Land Management to propose and enter into stewardship contracts and agreements prior to the completion of environmental review. And we also have the Taylor Grazing Act reform. This would amend the Taylor Grazing Act to reform how grazing allotments are allocated and further clarifies the commodity status of grazing right usage on BLM land. Thank you again, Chairman and the board.
Thank you, sir.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. My name is Lonnie Work. I'm here representing the committee to save Squaw Valley. I'm the chairman of that committee. I am the owner of Squaw Valley Realty and the Squaw Valley Motel. I'm not here to fight whether the word squaw is a good name, a bad name. Just here to talk about a couple of truths. One of the truths, there's the noted Harvard linguist E. Goddard, who in 1997 did an extensive study of the origins of the word squaw, and the result of that is it's an Algonquin word out of the Massachusetts area meaning woman. Whether there's periods of time, whether it was derogatory or not derogatory, obviously that's depending on which side of the fence that you stand on. For Squaw Valley, this is not our first fight over our name. In 1957, Fresno County and Congressman B.F. Sisk came to our aid. We had a very significant fight over who had the right to the name of Squaw Valley, whether it was us as the original area or whether it was a ski area in the Tahoe area. That was in preparation for the Olympics, which were going to be held in there. That fight, we're forever grateful to this county and to Congressman Sisk to assist us in that, and we were successful in that fight. That was handled, the decision of that was handled by the Federal Board for Geographical Names, the same body that is now saying that the word squaw is. In 1960, when the Olympics were held, there is not a single person in this country that would have looked disparagingly on the word squaw. It was a celebrated name for an area and a celebration thing. Names change, but names mean things, and we're here to support the board for their action against the state of California for AB 2022. As we have demonstrated, we have delivered overwhelming support from our community of 4,000 people that we do not want this name change. And we're looking for due process. Whether you like the word or you don't like the word, a backroom committee of just a few people should not have the right to sit and make a decision that says, okay, we're going to wipe this word from this nation. I thank you for your time.
Good morning. My name is Tom Williams, and my family's roots in Squaw Valley go back to 1920, over 100 years ago. When my great-uncle Bert Overholser came to Squaw Valley, bought the Bourne Ranch and opened a general store called Squaw Valley Corners. Uncle Bert was the postmaster from 1923 to 1946. And my mother became postmistress in 1960 when the post office reopened with the help of Representative Bernie Sisk, after he passed legislation in Washington that this community was the only community in the state of California that could use a postage stamp that read Squaw Valley. Much to the chagrin of that community near Lake Tahoe, where the 1960 Winter Olympics were held. As you know, the first post office opened in Squaw Valley in 1879. In 1942, the Army Air Force from Chandler Field here in Fresno opened a basic training facility on our ranch and trained young men to go overseas and fight in World War II. The outline of the rifle range is still there. My dad, Jack Williams, was a local judge from 1950 to 1976. Squaw Valley St. Rita's Indian Mission was built in 1933 on land donated by my Uncle Bert. My mother, along with me and my sister and two brothers, all attended the one-room Squaw Valley Grammar School, which was rebuilt in 1928 after a fire destroyed the old one. We're now trying to renovate the old schoolhouse. The school stands next to the Squaw Valley Cemetery, established in 1939. The Squaw Valley Indians have their own cemetery just off Highway 180. It is a steep climb to get to it. I could go on, but my main concern here is the preservation of the history of the community called Squaw Valley. Some of the finest Indian baskets ever made were made here in our Squaw Valley. They are in museums and private collections all over the United States. My family has a small collection as the Indians used to trade baskets for goods at Uncle Bert's store. History is so important to preserve our past and our heritage. And that history should be as accurate as possible. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Hello, my name is Jesselyn Harper, and I am here as a resident of Squaw Valley, but also to be a voice for the residents unable to attend today. According to Aristotle, the law is reason free from passion. In other words, the law is based on logic and is objective. The state of California passing AB 2022 is a violation of the 10th Amendment. The state has acted on a false authority not only over the residents but our elected representatives. The state and Department of Interior have collaborated together to silence the community of Squaw Valley and remove all due process. In turn, not only violating the 10th Amendment, but violating Federal Executive Order 1267-4 of not upholding the Constitution and by not acting impartially and giving preferential treatment to a private organization or individual. The Secretary Order 3405 created the Advisory Committee on Reconciliation and Place Names, designating representatives from Indian tribes, tribal and Native Hawaiian organizations, civil rights, anthropology, history experts, and members of the general public. Only one representative is from California. And this representative does not represent the community of Squaw Valley, nor our elected officials. Neither the state nor the Interior have the authority to bulldoze not only the citizens' legal rights, but their legal appointed representatives. The illegal name change has caused severe distress in the community. I am asking the board to uphold their sworn responsibility to defend the Constitution and to be the voice of the residents. And if the state and Interior will not listen, I ask the board to take legal action to allow a judge to listen. At the end of the day, there is no room for emotion or passion in law, only logic. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, my name's Michael Phillips, and I'm a short-time resident of Squaw Valley. I've only been there for about 2 years. We are a nation of integrated peoples. We all shall expect our rights and participation in our democracy, none of which was afforded to us, the general public, in CACGN AB 2022 decision to rename our unincorporated town. We, the general public and residents, are purposely neglected in due process, as the order states. Public notice. We shall be given and was not. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, my name's Patricia Hebert, and I am not here from Squaw Valley, but I have to say what I would like to present is tied into exactly what they are talking about. Our local control, our voting has to change. If Shasta County can do away with Dominion machines, so can Fresno County. I have been an election observer, a volunteer for 2 election cycles. I've started reading about what's coming out of Sacramento because I was involved in our public schools here in Fresno County, in Fresno, the city, the district, Fresno Unified. And I'm appalled at what is coming out of Sacramento. I'm appalled that parents are not being told what is happening at school to their children, that children can go get mutilated surgeries without parental knowledge. And I just have to say, it starts local. We've got to get our elections local, and our voice needs to be heard in Sacramento, and it's not being heard. So I would appreciate another time I will bring some maybe information to you that I've spoken with Mr. Coos numerous times. I attended all the Vote Center public meetings, and we presented several suggestions to him to alleviate some of the way that our voting is turned into a voting month now instead of a voting day. So this is where it starts. I can't be quiet anymore. I just can't. I've lived in California my whole life. California is not what it was when I was growing up, and we've got to change it. So I'm just here to say I'm supporting the county to take charge over our local elections, and that is doing away with the machines. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other speakers from the public? Okay. Now, Mr. Cedarborg, will we have anything to report out of closed session?
Mr. Chairman, we do not anticipate any announcements out of closed session, so if the board chooses, it would be appropriate to adjourn following closed session.
Okay.
Before you take that, entertain that motion, do you want to take it out to the public to receive any public comment on?
I didn't hear you.
closed session public comment.
Closed session, public comment.
Any comments from the public regarding closed session? Okay. Seeing none and nothing to report out, so we can adjourn at this time.
You'll adjourn following closed session.
We'll adjourn following closed session. Yes.
Thank you.
Motion and a second. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion passes. God.
Here.
Supervisor Pacheco,
Here.
Chairman Quintero.
Here.
All present. Thank you.
Good morning and welcome to the Tuesday, April 25th, 2023 meeting of the Fresno County Board of Supervisors. We will begin today's meeting with the invocation and flag salute. The invocation will be led by Supervisor Nathan Magzig, and I'll turn it over to him to do some introductions as well.